Welcome to Job Talks Access. I'm with Alexis Chicoine, who is a motivational speaker, a consultant, panelist, and also a workshop builder for accessibility, awareness, and inclusion. Alexis, how are you?
Doing all right. It's a sunny day. It's beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Just to start, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your organization and what you do.
Yeah. So I had been speaking about employment and disability for many years while I was working. I had a good friend who had conferences and breakout talks and things, and he always called me up to be one of their speakers. And it really taught me a lot. Uh, One day, it actually transitioned into a job with him where I worked 2 years fully developing workshops, worked with 4 businesses, and really got engaged about disability confidence in the workplace. So when that contract came to an end, I'm like, I really like doing this. I'm really good at it. I have 20 years of disability experience. Let's see if I can get paid for this independently. So I built a website. I put my name out there. I volunteer on a couple of boards, and that actually made some connections for me. And I got a couple of speaking engagements, and then COVID hit.
Right.
So I did transition to doing two of the talks, those 2 talks actually online. I hadn't even thought about it, but it was one of the businesses where I was supposed to get flown to LA. I was talking to Snapchat. Like, this was big stuff. I was so excited. But they're like, have you ever done it online? So I'm like, okay, let's figure this out, and present it online. And just, I think businesses really started to close up shop in a sense of spending money on extra peripherals, because that was right at the beginning of COVID. So as things progressed and people, didn't know how long it was going to be, even now today, we're like, had no idea it was going to be a year and a half and more. That extra spending on speakers sort of died. So I've been on the shelf a little bit, but I love that aspect of my work is speaking engagements and just sharing. And I like people having the aha moment when they realize that disability really is an experience of the human nature. It's a part of aging. We go out on weekends and on a Friday, have some fun, and unfortunately sometimes come back on Monday a little more aimed than planned, right? So let's think ahead in the workplaces and figure out how to fit everybody.
Yeah, there's definitely something gratifying about helping someone to see things the way you see them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to just, I guess, about the way I see them, just allow themselves, I try to share this, allow themselves the inner moment when you might go, I'm uncomfortable, right? I have them. I don't know everything about disability. I'm spinal cord injury, so I know a lot about that. But, there's other features of people's disabilities that, may make me a little nervous, but know that that's okay.
Hmm.
Have this little sort of, in a sense, cheat sheet, this thoughts in your head of knowing what to ask, how to interview, and be able to move forward and see if the person's a good fit and not have to worry about the disability.
Right. I'm wondering, would you say there's a favorite job you've had, or is this the best job you feel like you've done?
I definitely have a rewarding experience after I have a talk. And I think that I was never a big performer on the stage, but there's a feature to that when you come away from the rush of the audience and knowing that you've presented some really great information and shared some stuff and people learn things and they thanked you at the end, and it's definitely a rewarding experience. Um, so another job that I really enjoyed, very intense, it was with Arc'teryx. It was it's an outdoor clothing manufacturing company, big out here in, well, it's just international, but if you don't know of it, that's all right. Anyway, I had was out of work for a while. I had got downsized out of one industry. I was working promotions at CTV and '08 happened and half of the country got let go. And now I needed to find work again. I'm like, oh God, back to the grind. And this position came up and it was in IT. Do I have IT background? No. But it was there, like it wasn't entry level, but it was entry point to the IT department. So they wanted the person to be able to have the smarts to learn their system, learn all about their, their software that runs the company. And I couldn't have known it before because it was unique to Arc'teryx. And then have the ability to talk to people. And sometimes when they were hiring just IT personalities, they didn't have that talking experience. And so they gave it a chance to somebody with a little less IT experience, as in none, but the smarts to handle learning it, and the ability to say yes and no to all levels of staff. And I say that it was my best experience, one of my best experiences, because I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, did I sweet talk my way into this in a really bad way? Can I do this?
Yeah.
But
You had to push yourself.
And my manager saw that it took me a little longer than the previous IT person to embrace the position, or just really master being able to tell people, things about the system. But by, I was there for 4.5 years. It was easy. It was, I mastered it. I'd rocked it. I had staff underneath me that by that point. And I learned, I was like an IT science geek like the rest of them, because I really fit into the crowd. It was a natural fit to go to, movies and geek out with the friends and stuff. It was really a really good learning experience for myself and growth experience, pushing me.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely had
Yeah.
a wide range of positions. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, what would you say about the experience of looking for a job or interviewing, hiring, that kind of thing?
Yeah. I'd say the slight difference. So I had 30 years able-bodied and now 21 disability, which telling you my age. Oh no. So I have done interviews both ways. I could say able-bodied. If I got the interview, I'd rock it and I'd get the job. I mean, if I had all the requirements and stuff.
Right.
With a disability, that hasn't quite panned out as well. I have to say I haven't been hugely passed over, and I can't say for sure if that was the case or not. But I can definitely see a slight difference between able-bodied and disabled.
Yeah. Have you noticed any improvements, maybe not specifically about interviewing, but in general improvements as far as accessibility in the workplace over the years?
Yeah, I've had awesome experiences. I know some people have not, but I have come into businesses and got the job, but needed to change a few things up to really make it work for me. And those businesses were open to that. Now there was one that was a couple of big ticket items. My first job, I was receptionist at CTV, downtown Robson and Burrard. You'd think they have lots of money in the world, but their reception desk was like, you've seen reception desk. They're up here for some reason. They expect people to stand and things. And it was behind very heavy glass doors, which didn't have automatic openers. I had to get help every day to get into the reception, or I actually figured out a back route that went around a couple of smaller doors that were lighter for me to push open. But after a couple of years, and because they were big ticket items, it took some time, but they listened. We engaged and went to corporate to get more money, and they cut the desk down, which was more welcoming anyway.
Right.
Like it's huge, like, where do I go? I can't see anyone, because the person always sat, even if it wasn't me. My fill-in lunch person could stand, but they sat all the time anyway. So you didn't really know where to go because you had security and you had the receptionist. Now when they cut it down, it was like, hey, this is the welcoming spot to come.
A little less intimidating.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then when they put the automatic door openers in, the cameras had to move from the 4th floor to the 3rd floor all the time for 2 different shoots. Guess who got to use those automatic door openers as they pushed $150,000 cameras?
Right.
Not banging them anymore through the glass heavy doors. Just push the button, it opens. Accessibility works for many.
Better for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first job after disability. So, that was a good experience. Took some time, as I said, to get those pieces in place because they were big ticket items.
Mhm.
But other ones, like I don't entirely need a ton of accommodation. I don't need the office chair. I come with my own.
Right.
I really have the business by my rollerball mouse. So I like a particular rollerball mouse in a certain style, like this, and
Mhm.
it went from $50 to about $70 now over the years. That's my big difference, I guess I see.
Yeah.
And I asked the business to buy me a rollerball mouse. I have, and I do this in the interview. I think it's very important. I know we're kind of going all over the place here, but
No
if
problem.
you, if you require accommodation to make yourself successful in the workplace, disclose it. Why leave it to performance issues later on? Because the employer doesn't know. They just think maybe you're not up to snuff and not doing the job. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, by the way, I need such and such. So it just, obviously, I'm in your face. I'm in a wheelchair. I can't really hide when somebody goes to shake my hand that my hands are kind of funky. So
Right.
I definitely don't want to walk away from an interview having somebody go, how does she type? Like an IT position. And if I never explained how I do standard computer activities, they'd be like, oh my God, like she can't type. How would she type? So I would suspect I wouldn't get the job because they're not going to ask that question if they didn't know how to ask that question in an interview. Because you just have to know how. But anyway, I have these simple little gadgets that slide onto my hands, and I 2-finger type like whatever the percentage of the world, probably more than half, do in this world. And then a very similar gadget for writing. And I bring these to the interview. I just like, see, this is what I do. And people are amazed, but it's just these simple little, so again, it slides onto my hand. It holds the pen instead of me holding it. And because I have good wrists, I can just go and write really easily.
Yeah.
So I bring these to the interview. It's important for me to show that there's no hesitation and need. And I say probably the other little thing that needs tweaking if you have a maintenance person is a lot of times those bathroom doors are heavy. I just need you to tweak the spring so it closes a little more slowly and makes it lighter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like little things like that. Or sometimes I need a place to hang my jacket. Put a hook here instead of up there, They're like, oh my God, we can do that. That's easy. So
Yeah, totally makes sense. I like what you said about that just being open in the interview and not leaving it up to, chance of someone's interpretation or anything like that.
yeah, because you can't blame them if they don't know. People will just think that this is a hard life. They can't imagine themselves in the situation because who does? You don't want to.
Mhm.
And so, if you need that accommodation, whatever it may be, to make your life successful, then you need to, I feel you need to disclose it up ahead.
So Alexis, in an ideal world, what do you think would be the greatest positive change as far as accessibility for the workplace?
I think just making people more comfortable. It's
Mhm.
really hard to try to think that you're going to have the built environment fit all disabilities. That's just not a reality. Our requirements are so different. So
Right.
I'm not going to say the built environment. It's just being open to understanding what is needed. And I think probably more grants, because some people do need big ticket items to get back to the workplace. And those automatic door openers are a huge piece of independence for people. And there's one thing to have them on your front door, but if you don't have it on your bathroom, then how does that person go to the bathroom independently, right? Always asking for help ask for help to open a door to go pee isn't really something you want to ask a coworker when you're trying to be all professional.
Right.
But there's money. Everything costs money, and it costs a little bit more for people with disabilities and items because we are not a big population. So I think you need a bucket of money somewhere along the way that businesses can dip into to make themselves accessible.
Yeah.
I think that would be a big difference.
Yeah, there's some big ticket and some not so much, but being
Hmm.
able to accommodate everyone shouldn't be that much of an issue.
I mean, it can be. I mean, I'm not going to expect a mom and pop store to put an elevator in. Like, there's a reality to. I also put the responsibility on the person with a disability of what they're applying for. One, make sure you can do the job in the sense of you have all the schooling and whatever tickets you might need to do the job. But be realistic as well, on duty to accommodate. Like I said, if mom and pop need to put in an elevator in their little storefront, and you push the duty to accommodate to human rights situation, I'm just saying, that may be a big ask. I guess you can do that, but if you're talking about bigger businesses who have a reach out, federally regulated businesses, and soon to be provincially regulated in BC, there are some realities that just be aware of what you're applying for, and take some of the responsibility on yourself and just not all lay it on the business.
Well, thank you so much for your thoughts and insights, Alexis. We're hoping this project can start a push towards making the difference. So that was Alexis Chicoine. I am Paul Vandergrent, and this has been Job Talks Access.